This captivating landscape is known by many as home to magnificent wilderness, the world's most beautiful creatures, as well as tremendous sporting talent. However, South Africa is also known for a troubled political past, staggering unemployment, rising crime rates, and an AIDS pandemic that has affected the lives of millions of its citizens. In fact, 1 in 4 South Africans are confirmed HIV positive, and by 2010, the crisis will have orphaned close to 21 million children on the sub-Saharan side of the continent alone. SOS Children's Villages understands the reality the people of South Africa face and are committed to helping where the need is greatest. In partnership with FIFA, the sport of soccer's governing body, SOS has created a campaign, 6 Villages for 2006, to help in finding homes for the massive number of children in need. Canada's FIFA ambassador, Craig Forrest, a former national team captain and English Premier League standout, had a chance to join the SOS team on a visit to South Africa in July 2005 in order to get both a better understanding of the situation and to help inspire the young children who have been affected by poverty and death.
Everybody in the villages seem to be open arms to us and welcome us with an amazing amount of love, and we've met some children who have just got into these villages from time to time and seen how traumatized they actually are when they actually enter these villages and how quickly they adapt to their families and their new families. Many of these children have had parents with HIV and AIDS, and a lot of them have passed away, unfortunately, for these kids, but this has given them an opportunity of a lifetime, really, for them to achieve something that is really unthinkable in a lot of areas of South Africa.
As a soccer legend in Canada, Craig experienced a number of memorable moments over a career that lasted more than 20 glorious years. But nothing has left a lasting image in his heart, more so than his visit to the communities.
As we've traveled through some of the townships in South Africa, we've seen the sadness and despair. Coming and seeing these kids laughing and joking and enjoying themselves, also with members of the community surrounding them, has given me immense amounts of pleasure. And I've seen some children with problems coming from families who have lost their parents, and seeing them just arrive and knowing that they can smile in just a few minutes is something that has made it very special for myself.
6 Villages for 2006, the joint charity campaign launched in December of 2003, follows the objective of collecting donations for the construction of 6 new SOS Children's Villages on each continent by 2006, a project that will benefit the country for generations to come. The construction has begun in Rustenburg, the site of the 8th Children's Village in South Africa. In that same month of July, media from around the world gathered as Craig and fellow English Premier League retiree and former South African captain Lucas Radebe took part in the official groundbreaking. For Radebe, it was yet another positive step for the children of his native land.
Since I've been introduced to the SOS Children's Villages as an ambassador, dealing with the kids always my passion. And that's an organization that's close to my heart, and working hard every off-season when I'm home doing road shows. And because I believe that the future of the country lies to the kids, especially give them the opportunity as well, not to feel secluded, from the community, and as well give them the support that they need, because they've got ambitions and dreams as well to succeed in life.
For the children in SOS, the links to the sport of soccer are far greater than partnerships and media gatherings, thanks to the structure provided to the children in the SOS communities. Children who might otherwise have been destined for hardship have been given the chance to pursue goals in life that may once have seemed impossible. With the help of SOS, these children can now dream of following in the footsteps of the sporting heroes they've come to love.
I see these kids, and most of them have no parents or have been abandoned by their parents, or whatever the reason being. This is really what it's all about. SOS Children's Villages gives them an opportunity to be able to do and to achieve what really every kid deserves, and every kid has the right to play football.
In the SOS family, the goal is not only to create dreams for the future, however, it's a daily effort to reach out to the communities surrounding the villages and the families whose lives either will or have been torn apart by virus and disease. Canada's National Director, Boyd McBride, was also given the opportunity to see the suffering firsthand, as well as the inspiring images offered through the work of the staff trying their best to provide for those in need.
It's been a very interesting trip for us. I think we've seen extremes of wealth and poverty. We've seen, I think, the wonderful intervention of SOS Children's Villages South Africa in traditional village operations. We've also seen it at work in the community family strengthening programs. And we've seen it in facilities like the one we've just visited, the SOS kindergarten here.
As a field officer in South Africa on behalf of SOS Children's Villages Canada, no one knows the devastation felt by the effects of HIV and AIDS on the lives of the young in South Africa better than Aimee Ma. Her experiences and knowledge gathered certainly allow Canadians the opportunity to see what is often taken for granted here at home.
Having a roof over your head and not having a leak every time it rains is something that we definitely take for granted. And what we've done here in Southern Africa, a lot of the child-headed families, we've rebuilt houses for them. And we've even built an extra room so they can actually rent that house and generate income, and then they can sustain themselves. And that, to us, may be a small thing. It doesn't cost very much, but it goes a long way. So they're not there shivering in the cold every time it rains, and it also gives them financial security, which is really important.
The experiences of the entire Canadian contingent also provide insight to skeptics who fear that their donations aren't making a difference.
I just wish that every Canadian who is skeptical could have joined Craig Forrest and the rest of the SOS mission here in South Africa, because every single day, in every village, in every program that we've visited, we've seen Canadian and other dollars hard at work, helping kids who, in the absence of SOS, would literally have nothing and no one.
Well, you can see firsthand here that the money goes directly to the children. For example, in Swaziland, education isn't free. It's something we take for granted in the Western world, and Canada especially. But here, we're giving out scholarships to kids who would not otherwise attend school. And that gives them a better chance. For example, a child-headed household, if we put the head of that household through school, they are then able to help their siblings. They can have a full and happy life, like every young person deserves. And we stop that sort of cycle of poverty and HIV/AIDS that kids easily succumb to when they live in sort of poverty-stricken environments.
SOS deserves the support of Canadians. I feel we've been fortunate enough to be able to come down to this area of the world to witness some of the most amazing sights that I've ever seen in my life. Amazing poverty, despair, loss of sadness. To be able to see what SOS has done for these kids that have come into these villages and into the community has been spectacular for myself, and certainly more so for these kids. And in the long term, I feel confident that these boys and girls that grow up in SOS Children's Villages will turn out to be individuals and adults later on in their life that will help the community that's around them.
Through death and poverty, hope once faded away for these kids. But with your donations and the incredible work of SOS Children's Villages, the promise of a brighter future is now in sight. For this massive operation to continue, however, help is needed.
The HIV/AIDS epidemic, it's just sweeping South Africa, Southern Africa as a region, but particularly South Africa as a country. We're looking at an entire generation of adults being wiped off the face of this earth, and that's sort of more than most of us can comprehend.
There's an enormous challenge in this part of the world. Literally millions of people suffering somehow from the effects of HIV/AIDS and other problems. There's also tremendous economic stresses. But I think what came across for all of us on this mission to Southern Africa was the tremendous sense of hope there is. There are still millions of kids who have a chance for a future if we care enough to help them get it.
6 villages for 2006 will make a difference in South Africa and around the world, and you can make it happen. SOS Children's Villages needs your help, not just to build a new village in Rustenburg, but to operate its family strengthening program in nearby communities for years to come. Rogers Sportsnet's presentation of SOS Children's Villages in South Africa. Brought to you by Avis Rent-A-Car, Accor Hotels, Legacy Hotels and Resorts, by Adidas, and by Swiss Airlines.